Canadian retail giant, now it's on the verge of completely disappearing.
This year I want a tree that doesn't shed.
Ottawa is home to one of only two remaining Zellers stores, and they are both now slated for closure.
Sandra Dexter?
Yes?
Woolco is you. Woolco is fashion. Fashion that'll make your day.
Before the malls, before the apps, before everything went online, there were places that shaped who we were. Stores where the doors jingled, cash registers rang, and the smell of popcorn or perfume filled the air. They weren't just stores. They were memories. Saturday trips with our parents, Christmas lists written in pencil, and the magic of walking through aisles that felt endless. Names like Eaton's, Zellers, and Woolco weren't just logos. They were landmarks in our lives. And though they've vanished from our streets, they'll never disappear from our hearts. This is a journey through the brands and stores that once made Canada feel like home. Welcome to classical Canada. For nearly a century, Eaton's wasn't just a department store. It was a part of being Canadian. From glossy catalogues that arrived in the mail to the marble floors of their flagship stores, Eaton's was elegance, excitement, and home all at once. Christmas windows, friendly clerks, the hum of escalators. For many families, a trip to Eaton's was an event, not an errand. And though the lights went out for good in 1999, the name still glows softly in the memories of those who walked its aisles. For kids of the 70s and 80s, Saturday mornings meant one thing: a trip to Zellers. The smell of fries from the cafeteria, red shopping carts bumping over tile floors, and that famous slogan, "Where the lowest price is the law." Zellers was more than a store. It was part of growing up. It was where kids bought their first toys, parents bought their first couches, and everyone stopped for a cheap lunch before heading home. Even today, when someone says the word Zellers, Canadians smile because those memories never went on sale. Before the world was full of discount stores, there was Simpsons, refined, graceful, unmistakably Canadian. Walking into Simpsons felt like stepping into a world of quiet class, polished counters, soft music, and clerks who treated every customer with care. The Christmas displays in downtown Toronto drew crowds year after year, and the Simpsons logo became a symbol of style and trust. It's gone now, folded into the bay in the 1990s. But for a generation, Simpsons was the store that made shopping feel special. Before Walmart ever came to Canada, there was Woolco. Wide aisles, bright lights, and everything you needed. The cafeteria smelled like coffee and hot dogs, and kids could spend hours in the toy section while parents browsed the clothes racks. It was the perfect mix of affordability and family comfort, a place where you'd always bump into someone you knew. When Woolco closed in 1994, it marked the end of an era. But to many Canadians, the name still means simple days, full carts, and that unmistakable hum of Saturday shopping. Every Canadian town had a Kresge's, that small store with the squeaky doors, the long counters, and the smell of popcorn. You could buy a toy, a pair of socks, and a milkshake, all in one visit. For a generation of Canadians, Kresge's was their first taste of independence, a place to shop with pocket money and dream about growing up. Before the malls, before the brands, there was Kresge's, the heartbeat of small-town Canada. Before the fast food world became all the same, Harvey's stood out, proudly Canadian, and always made your way. The smell of real charbroiled burgers, the clatter of orange trays, and that moment when the clerk asked, "What do you want on it?" For many Canadians, Harvey's was the taste of summer, of road trips, Saturday lunches, and hockey celebrations. Today, it still lives on, but for those who remember its early days, Harvey's will always be more than a burger. It's a bite of pure nostalgia. Before Lay's and Doritos filled every shelf, there was a simpler bag, blue, plain, and proudly Canadian. Hostess chips were lunchbox gold. From salt and vinegar to the legendary sour cream and onion, kids opened those foil bags after school, shared them with friends, and licked the salt from their fingers. It was a small joy, but one that still carries the flavor of our childhoods. If you grew up loving gadgets, then Radio Shack was your playground. Rows of transistor radios, cassette players, and blinking lights that felt like the future. Whether you went in for a new battery or just to dream, there was always something magical about that faint hum of electronics. Radio Shack was the start of a lifelong love affair between Canadians and technology. A little piece of science fiction right on Main Street. Before the age of big box chains, Canadians did their weekly shopping at Dominion, with its red and white sign and simple promise, mainly because of Dominion. It became one of the most trusted names in the country. The smell of fresh bread, the hum of freezers, and the sight of long paper bags filled with groceries. Dominion was the rhythm of family life. Long gone now, but for decades, Dominion meant pride in a Canadian name. Before every town had a Tim Hortons on the corner, there was Coffee Time, smaller, quieter, and a little more personal. The neon signs glowing in the cold, the sound of mugs on counters, and the comfort of a cheap coffee at 1 a.m. Students, truckers, night shift workers, everyone found a place to rest there. Coffee Time wasn't just a franchise. It was a friend that stayed open when you needed it most. In every small plaza, behind a set of swinging glass doors, there was BiWay, that simple blue and white logo promising a deal on everything you never knew you needed. Socks, notebooks, batteries, school supplies. The aisles were always a little crowded and the shelves never perfectly straight, but that was the charm. BiWay was the place where your parents said, "We'll just have a quick look," and somehow left with a bag full of things anyway. A true Canadian classic, gone, but not forgotten. Before chocolates came wrapped in gold foil and brand names from overseas, there was Laura Secord. Named after a Canadian hero, it stood for quality, pride, and something beautifully local. The smell of fresh fudge, the sight of chocolate behind glass counters, and the joy of picking a small box for someone you loved. Every mall seemed to have one. A quiet, elegant store that made Canadians feel special. Before Spotify and streaming, there was one glowing sign every music lover in Canada knew: Sam the Record Man. Two giant spinning records lit up Yonge Street in Toronto, and for decades it was the place to find the song you loved. Teenagers lined up for sales, collectors flipped through bins, and everyone left with that little red and white bag of memories. When the store closed in 2007, it felt like the music stopped, but the melody of Sam's still plays in every Canadian heart. Before online shopping, there was the Sears catalog, thick, glossy, and full of dreams. Every Christmas, kids flipped through the wish book, circling toys they hoped might appear under the tree. From appliances to clothes, from couches to cribs, Sears was the trusted name in every Canadian home. When the stores finally closed, it felt like saying goodbye to an old friend, one that had been part of every chapter of our lives. For kids in the 1980s, consumers distributing was part mystery, part magic. You didn't browse. You flipped through a catalog, wrote down the item number on a slip of paper, and handed it to a clerk behind the counter. Then you waited, watching those double doors at the back, hoping your item was in stock. When it arrived, it felt like winning the lottery. Simple, strange, and unforgettable. Consumers distributing made shopping an adventure. Before the rush of modern mornings, there was the quiet ritual of fresh bread. Dominion bread, later Canada bread, wasn't just a brand. It was part of the rhythm of Canadian life. The paper-wrapped loaves, the smell that drifted from the bakery, and the warmth of toast on a cold day. Small comforts that meant home. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't loud. Just honest, Canadian, and good. Long before drive-through chains ruled the country, there was Dairy Queen, the little stand that turned ice cream into a memory. Paper hats, neon signs, and cones dipped by hand in chocolate that cracked perfectly with the first bite. Families lined up after softball games, and every small town had its own DQ, a place where summer lived forever. It's still here, but never quite the same, because those early Dairy Queens weren't just dessert stops, they were happiness in its purest form. Born in the 1970s, Petro-Canada was more than a gas station. It was a symbol of independence. The red maple leaf logo, the bright white canopies, and the sense that finally we had our own energy company. For many Canadians, filling up at Petro-Canada felt like doing something patriotic. Even today, the sight of that red leaf still carries the quiet pride of a country finding its voice. When Canada's Wonderland opened in 1981, it wasn't just an amusement park. It was a dream come true. The mountain, the fountains, the roller coasters, every child's first taste of adventure. Families packed station wagons and drove for hours just to spend one magical day there. From Hanna-Barbera Land to the smell of cotton candy, Wonderland was joy on a summer afternoon. For those who grew up in the 80s, the park will always be a symbol of youth, loud, bright, and full of life. And finally, there's the Bay. Born from fur trade routes and woven into our history, the Hudson's Bay Company has been part of Canada for over 3 centuries. The striped blankets, the crests, the windows at Christmas. It's more than a store. It's a piece of who we are. Through generations, it stood quietly as the backdrop of our everyday lives, evolving, enduring, and reminding us that some Canadian traditions never fade. Every one of these names, Eaton's, Zellers, Woolco, Sam the Record Man, was more than just a store. They were places that held our memories, shaped our childhoods, and gave our communities a heartbeat. We remember the jingles, the smells, the laughter, the sound of the cash drawer sliding shut. But what we really remember is how simple life felt back then. When we say we miss those places, we're really saying we miss a time when families shopped together, when the world felt smaller and Canada felt just a little bit closer. The stores may be gone, but the feeling they gave us, the warmth, the pride, the connection, that will always live on. And as long as we remember, they'll never truly disappear. Thank you for joining me on this trip down memory lane. If this brought back even one small smile, then it's done exactly what it was meant to do. Don't forget to share your memories in the comments below. I love reading your stories, and they're what keep this journey alive. Until next time, this is Classical Canada, bringing the past back, one memory at a time. Goodbye for now, and thank you for remembering. They say you can't go back, but in a way, we just did. Through the aisles of Zellers, the shelves of Eaton's, and the glow of Sam the Record Man's spinning lights, we found pieces of a country that still lives inside us. Maybe those stores are gone, but the memories, the smell of fresh fudge, the hum of fluorescent lights, and the feeling of being together, those will never fade. Because in the end, nostalgia isn't about what we lost. It's about remembering what we had. This was Classical Canada, bringing the past back, one memory at a time.